So now it's time to go mow. Let's talk about operating the in-command system here. Straightforward, you've got a key switch to power up the machine, and there's a rocker switch on the other side that will engage. That enables the reel. So now when I squeeze the bale, not only does the traction start, but the reel starts as well. So this has an OPC, operator presence control, built into the bale. If you simply walk up and squeeze the bale, you'll have no motion that occurs. That's the safety device. In order to engage the OPC, you slide the bale to the left, so you can see I'm doing finger pressure here, and then squeeze in, and away you go. You can squeeze in directly. There's a soft start built into the controller, so it's not going to lurch forward. However, do keep in mind that as you squeeze in or release the bale, the machine will slow down accordingly. So it's a good way of feathering your speed when you're in a tight area. The other thing to point out is the speed control paddle. This is the paddle here. There are these two screws here which I've used to set two different speeds. The first speed is my high speed. It's the speed I want to go in my straight line. The second speed is a lower speed. I've picked this to be a manageable speed for making my turn, as well as a speed that's appropriate for doing a cleanup pass. And that's it. So let's give it a go. So now I'm getting close to the end of my pass. I'm going to slow down to that slower speed. Makes for a very nice controlled turnaround off of this steep edge here. Lining back up my previous cutting pass. And now I've accelerated back to my walking speed. Now because I have the FOC function set, it's managing the reel speed. So even though I've changed my walk speed pretty dramatically, the consistency of the cut is there all the way across this pass. Now there's a range obviously in those speeds. Maximum speed is 3.4 miles per hour, and of course there's a minimum that's essentially 0. So you have a wide range of flexibility to set those speeds for what best suits the skill level of the operator. So now let me take one more pass with more like a skilled operator would do, keeping it at full speed and simply making a spin turn. I hope you enjoyed the quietness as much as I did. One thing you'll notice, as I was going across, you could hear little bits of sand left over from previous top dressing. That's something you just don't get with anything but the battery version. I'm hoping you can also see when we set the head down, the back roller set down first, followed by the front roller. Makes it much, much less likely to scalp, even if you're a little careless on your set down. Now in this next pass, I want to show you something that you're likely to see when you're out demoing this machine. So, what you may see is the front roller coming off the ground, right? You're probably seeing I'm picking the front roller up. What you're not seeing is the cutting head moving any. So you can be pretty sloppy on your cut and still afford a very good quality. You can actually shift the weight forward and aft. You can slide the battery pack forward or rearward. Same thing goes with the generator system. The advantage of that on the fixed head machine is that on a particularly day like this where you're a little damp, you can run the weight back, be a little less aggressive on your cut without having to change your front roller. If you want to pull the weight a little more forward, a little more aggressive of cut, it does another thing for you. It takes away a lot of that operator influence. So you get a little more weight on the front roller. You can have an operator that's maybe a little lazier on the handle and not affect the cut. Now on the floating head machine, because this weight is transferred into the front roller, not into the cutting head, it doesn't affect the aggressiveness of cut. However, the second bit of that, which is taking the operator influence out, does very, very well. By having more weight forward, less likely for the operator to lift these rollers off the ground. By pulling the weight back, you have an experienced operator and help him make that spin turn. It takes a little weight off the front end for doing that turn. You'll see this as well. We've created these decals. It gives you a reference point of how far forward or back the weight is, so you can set all your machines the same. This is great. I got to show you guys this, and it's why I'm so excited about this machine. Now, I set the frequency of clip at 0.146. That's the default setting out of the factory, and that's far better than any other mower in the industry. Not only that, my bench height of cut is 15 thousandths of an inch higher than what this green was cut with yesterday. Now, here in South Carolina, we're in the middle of a very extreme drought, so you're not getting a whole lot of growth day to day. And if you want to look here in the basket, in fact, I'll pull it off to show you. We've picked up a whole bunch of grass in this basket, just on those couple passes there. So what you're seeing here is all the stragglers that were left behind by the previous days of mowing. The higher frequency of clip and the quality of the Jacobsen cut means you clean up that finish. The real advantage of this is that you're going to have a faster ball roll for any given height of cut. You're going to have a more consistent look to your green, and you're going to have healthier grass. I'd like to take a few minutes and go into a little more detail on the control system so you get a better idea of how all this works. Now, the first mode is called the operator mode. That's the default mode when you power up the machine. Now, as an operator, you have no ability to input any functions, only to see four screens. The first and the default screen is a system voltage. That way you know at what level your battery is being maintained. If the operator then scrolls using either the left scroll or the right scroll, the orange buttons, the next menu you'll be able to see is travel speed. That's in real time. So as an example, I'm on the kickstand. I just engaged the traction system. We're doing 3.4 miles per hour. The next screen would be the frequency of clip screen. This is the set value for frequency of clip. And then the final screen is the reel speed. And again, it's in real time. So you can see right now the reel is spinning at 2200 RPMs. And then you're back to system voltage. The second mode is the mechanic or superintendent mode, which is passcode protected. So in order to enter this mode, you hold down both the orange buttons simultaneously and then power up the key. Continue holding these buttons down until it prompts you to enter a PIN code. So you can scroll up and down to select the proper numerical value, and then the center black button inputs that value. So in this case, you can see I'm entering a value of 6789. Now the first menu you get here is a factory reset. If you were to select this factory reset, it'll put all the settable components back to the preset factory values. It's a good quick way of getting all the machines exactly the same. You also have this output voltage that you had before, the output travel speed you had before, and then the first settable menu is frequency of clip. Now this gives you the opportunity to change that. So I've selected the center button, and now I can simply scroll up or down to the new frequency of clip value I want. In this case, I'm setting it to 0.140 inches. Moving along is reel speed. Now the first of the maintenance type items. This is a total run time, so this is the total hour meter for the machine. You also have some diagnostic functions here. You can see the current draw of the traction motor, and again, that's in real time. And you have the same thing with the reel motor. So this is a good way of seeing if you start having bearings that are starting to fail or reel to bed knife clearance is too tight, that you can do some preventative maintenance. There's also a total draw coming out of the battery pack. Now, this gets into the second way of operating the machine, either in the frequency of clip mode or by having a set maximum mow speed. So now I can lower the max mow speed if I want to make sure my operators walk at a slower speed than the maximum. You can also set a maximum reel speed or a set reel speed, in this case 2200. What this will do is keep the reel at a constant 2200 RPM. The maintenance hour meter. Here's a unit select. If you have English or metric units, we'll convert all the functions into metric display. And then finally, it gets into the calibration routines. So through these calibrate menus, you can simply run the bail control. Same thing would go for the paddle control. through its range of motion instead of having to do any adjustments mechanically to some sort of cable or whatnot. So a very quick, easy way of doing maintenance as these machines wear over time. So the final menu we want to show you is the backlap. Once you're in the superintendent mode, again, that's the passcode protected mode. In order to initiate backlap, you need to activate the real rocker switch into the rearward position. From that point, you follow the prompts on the menu screen. It asks, do you want a backlap? Select yes with the orange button here. In order to initiate movement, engage and release the bail. So the reel has started turning in a backlap mode, the traction system is disabled, and you notice a chime. This chime is to alert others in the shop area that backlapping is occurring. In order to change the speed at which the reel spins during backlapping, you can scroll up and down with these orange buttons, and you see a percentage value relative to the maximum available RPM for backlapping. Now, there's a safety lockout on this, meaning that if any of these controls are touched inadvertently, so in this case the speed paddle, it immediately shuts the reel down. In order to reinitiate backlap, simply turn on and off the backlap switch, select yes, and engage and release the bail again, and you're back running backlap. This also has a 5-minute countdown timer, so it'll run for 5 minutes and then it automatically shuts off. If you need to backlap for additional periods of time, you would simply reactivate the switch and start again. And that's it.